Assalamu alaikum. Slide number 2. We know that statistics can be classified into two categories: descriptive statistics and inferential statistics. Descriptive statistics we have finished. It includes tabulation. Descriptive statistics means different ways to describe your sample information. We have completed tabulation. We discussed the graphical presentation of data, the constants, measure of locations, measure of dispersions. Inferential statistics we are going to cover in this presentation. What is inferential statistics? Inference means conclusion, drawing conclusions. Actually, what happens in research, the information available with us is in the form of a sample. We analyze the sample, we apply appropriate formulas, and then we draw the conclusion about the population from which the sample has been drawn. That is, inferential statistics means those methods which are used to analyze the sample information to draw the conclusion about the population in general. It can be classified, inferential statistics can be classified into two components: estimation of parameter and testing of hypothesis. In this section, in this presentation, we are going to cover estimation of parameters. Okay. Slide number 3. Estimation of parameter. You are familiar that you know that the sample constant is known as statistic. If you have a sample, you get its mean. That mean is a statistic. If you calculate its SD, that is statistic. And the population constants is known as parameter. Practically, information with us is statistic, and with the help of that statistic, we try to estimate the population value, the parameter value. That's why it is called estimation of parameter. For example, let us see some constants. You know that mean, if we get the mean of the sample, it is denoted as x bar, which is statistic. If all the units of the population are involved and then we calculate the mean, then that is parameter and it is denoted by mu. Similarly, SD of the sample is, which is statistics, is denoted by small s, and the population SD is written as sigma. Also, the variance of the sample is square of the SD, s square, and the population SD is denoted as sigma square. Correlation coefficient, it will be taught to you. It shows the relationship between two variables, and sample correlation coefficient is denoted by small r, and the parameter, that is the population correlation coefficient, is denoted as rho. Rho is a Greek letter. All these are Greek letters: mu, sigma, rho, they are all Greek letters. Actually, the information with us is as a statistic, but we are always interested in the parameter. So now we are going to discuss estimation of parameter from the available information which is with us in the form of a sample. Slide number 4. The estimation of parameters can be classified into two categories: point estimation and interval estimation. Point estimation means if we estimate the value, if we give one value and we say that this is the estimated value, that is a single value estimate of the parameter, is known as point estimation. We are not going to deal with this one. It involves very hectic formulas and we are not going to do that one. We are going to work on interval estimation. That is, for estimating the parameter, we shall be giving an interval associated with certain level of confidence that the parameter value lies in this interval with say 99% confidence or 95% confidence, etc. And this interval is known as confidence interval. So we shall be estimating the confidence interval for the parameter from the sample information. This we are going to do in this presentation. But for obtaining confidence interval, we need to know, or we need to calculate the standard error. It's very important. So we will discuss the concept and the formula of standard error, because we shall be requiring the value of the standard error to obtain the confidence interval. Slide number 5. Standard error. Actually, it is the average amount of deviation of different sample means from the population mean. Suppose, let us take an example. Suppose our population is the number of students in your class. That is our population. And we want to get the average, say average blood pressure of this class. If all the blood pressure of all the students is recorded and then the average is obtained, that will be parameter. But if we are taking a sample and then obtaining the average of the blood pressure, that will be the statistic. From the same population, if you get different samples, say I have randomly selected 10 students and their BP was recorded, and say average diastolic BP was found as suppose 79. From the same population, I am drawing another sample of the same size, it will give a different information. So all the samples, although of the same size and drawn from the same population, they will give different values. Population value will be only unique one, but different samples will give you different values. You are interested in the population value, in the parameter. So the difference between the sample mean and the actual population mean is the error component, is error. We want to find out one more thing. If you are getting the average of the sample from 10 students and you are getting the mean of that one, and if you are selecting 25 instead of 10 and you are calculating the mean which will be based on higher number of observations, that is expected to be closer to the population mean. That means the error chances or error component in that mean which has been obtained from large observations, from a higher sample size, that will be, error will be less. So first we are going to discuss this one, what is the concept of standard error and how do we calculate it. I will take an example, and from that example I will explain what is standard error. In case of mean, when we are dealing with the continuous variable and we are calculating the mean, it is also called standard error of mean. Either you call it standard error or standard error of mean, both are same in case of obtaining the mean. Okay. So we are going to find out that error component which is between the sample mean and the population mean. Suppose we are taking an example. Suppose the population size, very small population size is there are only 4 units, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the mean of the population, it will be add all these 4, divide by 4 is 2.5. This will be the parameter. Now suppose you are selecting samples of size 2 from this population. We are discussing what is the concept of standard error, and that is what are the possible samples of size 2 from this population of size 4. 1, 2, all possible samples, 1, 3, 1, 4, 2, 3, 2, 4 and 3, 4. These are the possible different samples of size 2 from this population. You can calculate the means of these samples. The first will be 1.5, second will be 2.0, third will be 2.5, next will also be 2.5, and then 3, average of 2, 4 and 3.5. So these are the means of all possible samples of size 2. Okay. The formula for standard error is, if you calculate the means of these means, it's also a very important property of sample mean. If you get the mean of all means x bar and you get the mean of these x bars, sometimes we denote by x double bar, it will be exactly same as the population mean 2.5, same as parameter. That is, if you get all possible sample means of same size from that population and you get the mean of average of all those means, it will be same as the population mean. Okay. Now what is the formula of standard error? It is, you have to get the difference of mean. This is the error component, because you are looking for the population mean 2.5 and your different samples are giving you different sample means. So difference, the SE is equal to square root of xi bar minus mu, that is the difference between the mean x bar of each sample and the population mean. You square it and add it for all the possible samples and divide by that number. There are R samples, here it is 6 samples, and divide by 6. So it will be your, if you break it, it will be like this. How did we get minus 1 square? x1 bar minus mu square. So x1 bar is 1.5, mu is 2.5. So 1.5 minus 2.5 will be minus 1, its square. Similarly, the second mean, x2 bar minus mu square, that is x2 bar is 2, mean of the second sample, minus mu, the parameter value, and it is minus 0.5 and its square. So that is this, you have to add all these. Next are 2.5, and they are same as the mean, it will be 0, and similarly the next will be 0.5 square plus 1 square, and your R is 6. So it will give you the value of SE as 0.645. So this is how we calculate the standard error of mean, or simply standard error, by obtain of a sample of size, it is of size 2. That is, you need to get samples, all possible samples of that size, and you need to get the mean of all of them, and then get the difference of each sample mean with the population mean, square it, add all these and divide it by the number of these means, and then take the square root to get the standard error. Okay. So this is your standard error of mean, which we are using in various situations. Here we shall be using it in obtaining the confidence interval. Okay. Slide number 6. We are going to repeat the example which we discussed in the last slide, but here we are going to take a sample of size 3. The same example, population is 1, 2, 3, 4, mean is 2.5, you know, and here we are going to draw sample of size 3. So we need to get all possible samples of size 3. The possible samples would be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, and 2, 3, 4. These are the all possible different samples. Get the mean as we did before. Its mean will be 2. It will be 2.33 and 2.67, 3.00. And you know that if you get the mean of the means, it will be equal to the parameter value, the population mean. It is a property of the mean. Okay, now let us calculate the standard error here as we did there. So 2 minus 2.5 will be minus 0.5, 2.33 minus 2.5 will be 0.17, etc. And you will calculate, when you will calculate, your SE will be equal to 0.28. That is, you found that for a population of size 4, if your sample was of size 2, the SE was 0.645, and when the sample is 3, SE equal to 0.28. Okay, it was a very small population of 4 units only. You managed to calculate all possible sample means and samples and their means, and then you calculated the SE. But practically for a population in general, and it is not possible. So getting the standard error using, this was just the concept. How we calculate practically the standard error, that we are going to discuss in the next slide. Slide number 7. Last 2 slides were discussed just to give you the concept of standard error, which is practically not possible. We took a small population of 4 units and then we calculated the standard error by taking a sample of size 2 and a sample of size 3. Practically, the standard error is obtained from one sample, and it is equal to SD over under root n. You are familiar with the SD, and it is very clear. If you increase n, n is in denominator, under root n is in denominator. Increasing n will decrease the standard error. So from the sample we get the SD, and we divide SD by under root n to get the standard error. That is, if a sample of size 25 gives you SD as 8, then standard error is SD over under root n, means 8 over under root 25 equal to 1.6. Increase the sample size, SE will decrease. So this is how we calculate the standard error of mean from one sample. Okay. Confidence interval for population mean mu. It's very, very simple. You have one sample with you of size n. You will calculate the mean from that sample. You will calculate the SD. SD will give you SE, SD over under root n, and Z, you know, wherever we mention Z, Z means is standard normal variate. It has been explained to you in normal distribution. So Z means standard normal variable, and its value also, you know, for 95% Z equal to 1.96, for 9% Z equal to 2.58, and also making use of the standard normal table, you can calculate Z for any level of confidence. This we have discussed in normal distribution. The confidence interval for population mean is given by this formula. You know the notations. X bar is the mean of the sample. Z is the standard value for the desired level of confidence. You know it. And SE also you know it. So this interval, the lower limit of the interval is mean minus z into SE, and upper limit is mean plus z into SE. Into SE, that is the confidence Z value, and multiplied by the standard error. It is also known as margin of error. That is, on both sides of X, for the lower limit we subtract the margin of error, for the upper limit we add the margin of error to the sample mean. It's very simple. You only need X bar, you only need SD of the sample, and based on your desired level of confidence you will get Z, and you will calculate the confidence interval for the population value of the mean. Okay, Z into SE means Z into SD over N, that is the margin of error. Slide number 9. One example has been taken here. It will make the concept very clear how we get the confidence interval for the population mean. The example says a random sample of 30 persons from a population gives the average hemoglobin as 14.6 with a SD of 3.3. Obtain 95% confidence interval for the population mean of hemoglobin up to 2 decimals. Okay, you are given N as 30, you are given X bar as 14.6, SD as 3.3, and level of confidence 95%. Formula you know for confidence interval for population mean is X bar plus minus Z into SE. X bar is given to you as 14.6, Z because 95%, and therefore the value of Z will be 1.96. SE you know is SD over under root N, SD is 3.3 over under root 30, and you will get the value of SE as 6.6025. Substitute the value in the formula, you will get lower limit and upper limit both. For lower limit you need to subtract the Z into SE value from X bar. So lower limit is 13.4191. For 2 decimal it will be 13.42, and upper limit is equal to, you have to add it, 15.7809, and 2 decimal place it will be 15.78. You will be writing the final statement as the 95% confidence interval for the population mean of hemoglobin is 13.42 to 15.78. Okay, this can be explained as if you, what does this mean, the statement? If you select a sample of size 30 from this population and obtain the average of the hemoglobin level, so 95 out of 100 times your mean will lie between 13.42 to 15.78. Or you can also say that you are 95% confident that the population mean lies between 13.42 and 15.78. This is known as the confidence interval. The level of confidence is 95%, and therefore it is a 95% confidence interval. Very simple. Just get the mean, SD, SE, and the level of confidence you will decide, and you will get the interval. Slide number 10. The exercise says BMIs of 16 persons were calculated, and 95% confidence interval for the population mean of BMI was obtained as, you are given the interval, that is lower limit and upper limit are given to you, and the question is to find out mean and variance. Formula you know, mean plus minus Z into SE, mean minus ZSE is the lower limit, mean plus ZSE is the upper limit. For getting the lower limit and upper limit, you are adding and subtracting and adding the same value to X bar, and therefore the average of lower limit and upper limit will give you the mean. You are also given n equal to 16, and this information is given to you. For 95% that will be 1.96. Get the average of the lower limit and upper limit and you will get the value of the mean. Okay. For finding the variance, you will get SD, and then SD square will give you the value of the variance. You are given both upper limit and lower limit. You may select any of these. Prefer to take lower limit because that will give the smaller value. So lower limit is equal to sample mean minus Z into SE. Substitute the mean you have calculated. Substitute the mean, Z you know. SE is SD over under root n. N is given to you as 16. And when you will solve it, you will get SD is equal to 6. And therefore, the variance will be the square of SD, that is 36. Very simple. Slide number 11. Confidence interval for population prevalence rate. You are familiar with the type of the variables. Either the variable is categorized or continuous. If it is continuous, then we are interested in the location value and mostly in the mean. And in the last slides, we obtained the confidence interval for the population mean. If you are dealing with the categorized variable, that is, for example, in categorized variable, we are actually calculating the percentage. For example, diabetic, non-diabetic, you are interested in knowing what is the percentage of diabetic people in our population, hypertensive, non-hypertensive. So here we get the percentage, and we also call that prevalence. The formula for the confidence interval, there it was x bar plus minus ZDC. Here, because we are dealing with the proportion or percentage, so it is P plus Z minus into SE. P is the sample prevalence rate, as x bar was the sample mean. Here P is the sample prevalence rate, the percentage of the characteristic in the sample. Z you know, you are familiar with the Z. Here the formula of SE is P into Q upon N and its square root, where Q is equal to 100 minus P. We are using this formula when we are interested in prevalence rate. Sometimes in the question it is we are required to find out the proportion. So if from percentage, to convert it to proportion, divide it by 100, and in that case P will be in proportion. That is, if it is 20% prevalence, then in case of proportion it will be 0.2, and in that case Q will be equal to 1 minus P, not 100 minus P. So here the margin of error which was there in confidence interval for the population, it was Z into SE. Here again Z into SE, and your SE is this under root P into Q over N. So your margin of error is Z into square root of P into Q over N. Slide number 12. One example. In a study of 500 persons of a population, it was found that 180 of them were hypertensive. Obtain 99% confidence limits or confidence interval for population prevalence rate of hypertension up to 2 decimal places. Okay. The formula you know is P plus minus ZSE. P is the sample prevalence rate, percentage of hypertensive in the sample, and this you can calculate. And you know the formula of SE is under root P into Q over N. So you want the value of P, value of Z, and N. Q you will get from P. You are given the sample size as 500. Out of 500, 180 were hypertensive, and these two values will give you the value of P. that is 36% were hypertensive in the sample. You have to obtain the interval. Lower limit will be less than this one, upper will be more than this one. Okay. Q, you will get 100 minus P, that is 64. Okay. And Z, from 99% confidence, it will give you Z equal to 2.58. Okay. I already told you that at least these two Z values you should memorize. For 95%, Z is 1.96. For 99%, Z is 2.58. You will get the SE by putting the formula. You know Q, you have P, N is 500, and when you will substitute the values, you will get SE equal to 2.1466. P is your 36, and hence your lower limit will be P minus ZSE. It is 30.462, and the upper limit, add ZSE in the P, it is 41.538. That is the same as you did in continuous variable for population mean. 99% confidence interval for the population prevalence rate of hypertension is 30.46 to 41.41. So this is how, by substituting the values in the formula, you will get the confidence interval for a given level of confidence. Slide number 13. It is a good example, and it was also in one of the examinations earlier. To estimate prevalence rate of obesity among females in a population, n females were chosen. The sample size is not given. Were chosen randomly, and 95% confidence limits were obtained as 16.08 to 23.93. First is the lower limit and the second is the upper limit. Find, you are supposed to calculate n, means how many females were selected to find the prevalence of obesity in the sample. Formula, you know this. The sample P you will get by taking the average. You are given the lower and upper limits, and 95% confidence is given to you, and therefore your P will be 20. That is, the sample prevalence rate is 20. Now you want to know, P is known to you, Z you have, you want to calculate. P will give you the value of Q. Substitute in the formula. Better you take the lower limit, that because lower limit is, it's easy to calculate the value. So take your Q is 80, you know, and substitute the values in the formula, and this you can do yourself by substituting. Only n is not known, only one unknown is n. You can solve the equation, and you will get the value of n as 400. Okay. Slide number 14. You are given that 16 adult females were selected from a population, and their weights in kgs were measured. 95% confidence interval for the average weight of the population was calculated as 60 to 68. That is the interval width. Width is the upper limit minus lower limit, is 8 kgs. Okay. Write true, false for each of the following statements. Interval width will decrease if sample size is increased. Okay, it will be, if you write the formula, that will help you to decide whether that statement is true or false. The formula is x bar plus minus ZSE, because SD is given to you, better you write the SD. X bar plus minus Z into SD upon under root n. Z into SD upon under root is the error of measurement. If this is increased, the width will increase, because the same value you are subtracting from x bar for lower limit, and you are adding to x bar for upper limit. So if this Z into SD over N, if it is increased, the width will increase. If it is decreased, then width will decrease. Now let us see. Z is the part of this. If you increase the confidence, then Z will increase. If it will increase, the width will increase. And N is in the denominator. If you increase N, then Z into SD over N will decrease, and therefore the width will also decrease. Now read the statement. Interval width will decrease if sample size is increased. Yeah, it's true. If you increase N, the width will decrease. That's true. Interval width will decrease if level of confidence is increased. No. If you increase the level of confidence, that will increase the value of Z, and hence the width will increase. This statement is false. Interval width will increase if level of confidence is decreased. No, it's just only it has been reversed. Increase has been put in the beginning and decrease there. It is also false. What about the fourth one? Interval width will increase if sample size is increased. No, if you increase sample size, the interval width will decrease because it is in the denominator. It is also false. Okay. Slide number 15. One MCQ has been given here. Okay. BMI of n persons were recorded and 99% confidence interval for the population mean of BMI was obtained as lower limit and upper limit. The values are not given. Okay. If sum and difference of the two limits, upper limit and lower limit, are respectively given as 48 and 16, then choose the most appropriate option from the following. It is about the mean. Mean of the sample is 24. That is, you want to get the mean, the average, and the average is the mean is the average of upper limit and lower limit. So if you add upper limit and lower limit, then it will be equal to 2x bar, because the measurement error will be cancelled. That is 48 is 2x bar, double of the mean, and therefore half it divided by 2, and it will give you the mean. This by 2, the mean is lower limit plus this, you know, and hence your answer is first. Okay. A small question of numerical can also be designed here, that is written here. If the text is given as above, obtain SD of the above exercise, it is given that n equal to 9. Same as you did before. No, here you are given the difference and total. So you are given upper limit minus lower limit equal to 16. Just substitute the values. X bar will be cancelled. X bar plus ZSE minus X bar minus ZSE is equal to 16. X bar will cancel, and you will get 2 times ZSE equal to 16. SE is SD over N. Z 99% means 2.58. Just substitute the value here. When you will solve it, you will get the value of SD. You can do it yourself. No need to expand. Simply by putting the value in the formula, and you will get the result. Okay.